Welcome to this episode of Onshore Connect. I'm your host, Heather Houghton. In this episode, a look at break-even costs and shale plays. For the first time in 3 years, oil prices saw an uptick towards year-end. As optimism grows in the oil and gas industry, a Barclays survey suggests upstream companies will be spending an increased 30% this year. The Permian Basin has led to the resurgence, where about half of all rigs were added since the market bottomed. Most operators also expect oilfield service costs to ratchet up in 2017, with some E&Ps already starting to note price increases. In the Permian, Laredo Petroleum reported a 16% increase in prices since December. In the Eagle Ford, Sanchez Energy projects 18% inflation. Overall pricing could be up as much as 10% in 2017, according to a recent Wood Mackenzie study. Inflation rises on rig costs, pressure pumping, and proppant. That's enough to push some Bakken and Eagle Ford sub-plays outside of their profit zones. Hart Energy spoke with J. David Anderson, a senior analyst at Barclays, about his expectations for 2017, service pricing, the impact on break-even prices, and the toll of the last mile on E&Ps. Let's listen in.
What's your take on lower break-evens in some shale plays?
More broadly speaking, we've seen a 40% reduction in well costs, and we think that is largely due to service pricing having come drastically down over the last 2 years. In fact, many of the service companies that we currently cover are at negative EBITDA margins, which is simply unsustainable. Drilling efficiencies have played a role, there's no doubt about it, but that only represents 1/3 of well costs. On the other side, we've seen a much greater increase in production per well due to increased lateral lengths and increasing proppant intensity. Second, we've seen a high grading effect in North America. That high grading effect means that E&Ps are drilling on the best acreage with the best service equipment and the best crews. As activity starts to increase, that starts to dilute, and that will start to see some cost creep in the numbers. Finally, to us, it's all about the supply chain. This is a supply chain that's atrophied over the last 2 years. It's going to take equipment, needs maintenance and upgrades, along with finding the crews, which is going to take even longer than expected. E&Ps are putting out aggressive production targets. We believe this is taken together is a recipe to see higher service costs in the second half of 2017.
How much will OFS prices impact break-evens heading into 2017?
To us, as I said before, it's about the supply chain, and there's 3 particular areas. The first is on proppant. As we're seeing increased proppant intensity, and it appears to be a continuing secular trend, you're already starting to see strains in that supply chain. Proppant companies have already put through 1 round of pricing, they're putting through their second, and some are even putting a 3rd through currently. The second part will be on the maintenance, repair, and upgrade of equipment. We acknowledge there's a lot of pressure pumping and land rigs idle right now, but getting it back to work is going to take some time, longer than people realize. And finally, it's about the last mile trucked. Getting the sand and equipment and materials to the well site, that last mile is becoming increasingly a big problem for E&Ps and service companies. Trucking has been a major issue and was going to continue to be a pinch spot for many of these companies. So taken all together, we think a 5 to 10% increase in oil field service inflation is probably the appropriate trend for the first half of 17, but we expect that to accelerate to more like a 15 to 20% increase in the second half of 17.
Do you see any pricing shifts as DUCs start to be completed?
We actually don't think that working down the DUC inventory is a very big factor in our numbers. In fact, we don't really see this huge inventory of wells to be worked down other than the natural ebb and flow of the market. The bigger issue will clearly be labor. As many as 500,000 people have left the industry over the last couple of years. So getting the right people, getting them trained up, that's going to be the big issue. We think E&Ps could be disappointed with the performance. That's going to lead to further service inflation. Perhaps the biggest area could be in the Bakken, which is typically afforded much higher premiums for their labor because of the difficult conditions.
Onshore Connect returns next month as we take a closer look at DUCs and shale plays in the Rockies. Until next time, let's stay connected.
To stay up to date on the most recent Hart Energy videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking here.